everyone, we're here with Huge and Jake from Cyhra. You should fucking check them out. They've been around coming up on 10 years, not quite, but close. They have a new single out, Skin and Bones, which is number two single this year because number one was Superman. Uh, and I'm gonna say for you guys, my two favorite songs of yours are 1 Million Fahrenheit and Heart Rage. I absolutely love both of those. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much. And yeah, like being quiet is not my strong suit, but I made it for like 20 seconds there. That's fantastic. Thanks for that great introduction. Fun to hear that one of your favorite songs is actually from our latest album. I love that song, and I had big hopes on 1 Million Fahrenheit to be like, one of these requested bangers from the audience. But unfortunately, our third album went a little bit under the radar. So not enough people have heard that song, unfortunately. So if you're checking this and you never heard of us before, so you should totally check that song out.
Live, it always works great. People, they start to jump, that, because it has that. It's a great live song.
Oh, I can only imagine. It sounds like it would be a super fun song to see you all perform live. And I've got to say, musicianship that you all have is spectacular, and Jake's voice, holy shit.
Thank you. Yeah. We're something that we really try to show the audience when we play live is that we are a bunch of friends and we're there we're having fun. I mean, I've never ever been in a band before that, it's a brotherhood. And I don't think that we've ever had a real big fight. We've had one that was in a boat, 70,000 tons of metal, where one guy fucked it up a little bit. But I mean, one big incident for, as you said, close to 10 years now. That's unheard of. I mean, in my former bands, I was happy there was one day where we didn't have a big argument. It's a brand new world.
Hold on, were you in Jane's Addiction at some point? Because I think they have the same issue. We just want to get off stage without a fight today, please.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I've been in many bands so that no one can figure which band it is I'm talking about. That's awesome.
Hell yeah. So you guys, you've released two singles yet. I'm assuming there is an album coming, or are you just doing singles?
We're assuming that too, but we don't really know. No one told us what to do yet.
We're kind of doing this a little bit differently because previously we kind of, let's say.
Here's the NDA, by the way.
What? Let's write 14 songs and then let's pick 10 for the album. But now we've been writing one song, finishing that, mixing, mastering, putting it out, and then working on the third single, that's already done, mastered, that's delivered. Now we're actually, why I'm here, well, we have a show, but partly because we've been writing new stuff, so we have songs so we do kind of one song at a time, and I've been enjoying that a lot, because then you don't really need to worry about will this fit on the album. We're just been writing songs that we feel currently, the Skin and Bones had rap. That felt like, let's put rap part of it, because why not? So it's kind of, so eventually this will lead to an album, but at the moment we're not really thinking about album. We're just writing songs, putting them out, and now we're gonna film a music video for the next single, and then at some point maybe we'll figure out what the album is going to be and what it needs, or do we have the album already when we done 10 songs? We don't know, but it's kind of exciting because
totally. And here's the thing. So for me, it took a little while to convince the others that we were going to go this path. But now when we've done that for two songs, it feels that it's like everyone is on that path and understands the thing. It actually comes from, so I'm managing a band called The Day We Left Earth, which is also a band that you should totally check out. And we did this with them, and I saw a drastic change in the behavior in how people consume music these days. I mean, when we all grew up, you went to the record store that day when your favorite band released their album, and you took it home, you put 2 hours aside, and you sat there and like,
Yeah.
now music is something that is in the background when you're in your car driving to work. And I don't have the numbers, but I would say that at least 80% of people consuming music these days listens to playlists. They're following a list and they don't really understand what they're listening to. They just know that this song was great, number 4. I'm going to listen to it again. But they don't really know which band it was. And because they don't care, they don't put posters on their wall like idolizing something. They're just, you know, I think you're understanding where I'm trying to get at. But
Yeah, it's
but
you know, I see a lot of like pop culture is moving in that like very single driven environment versus like album driven, you know, and for me as a consumer, it bums me out because I love the exactly like you said. I grew up going to the record store and going, man, that album cover looks super cool. I'm buying that. I want to get the entire experience. It's, you know, I understand it from a marketing standpoint, but man, as that, you know, that boomer consumer, I guess, it's very much like, man, I want the whole album. I want, you know, the
of
vinyl
course,
with
but
the insert and all that.
I don't want to say that anything is wrong, or I mean, like, it's us that needs to adjust to like the new modern society. But I also think that, and something that I've seen for many years now with like the streaming services, is that it doesn't matter if it's Cyhra or if it's Iron Maiden releasing an album. The top 4 songs that you decide to put on number 1 to 4 has millions of streams, and then you go down to the 10th song, and Iron Maiden could have a song on an album that has 100,000 streams because no one listens through the whole thing, because that is not the culture anymore. And by releasing singles, you give the attention to every song. I mean, like, people might dislike it. I mean, like, we see that. I mean, like, what was it, 2 months ago since we released Superman? I think that outperformed the new single a lot, but it might not have to be about the quality of the song. It can also be that Superman ended up on 500 playlists while the new single ended up on 2. And, you know, like, you cannot compare where you're standing anymore. I mean, 30 years ago, Rolling Stone sold an album, went to Sweden. They were booking shows in Sweden and they were looking at the charts. Like, how many albums did we sell? Okay, we sold 100,000 copies. Okay, let's book the arena in this city, because then now we know how many fans we got. A band like us, Cyhra, we have between 20 to 30,000 streamers, like exclusive listeners in Helsinki alone. And you would think that that's fantastic. We have a lot of fans in Helsinki. So let's book a show in Helsinki. If 10% of those people comes, well, it's going to be a great show. If 1% comes, it's going to be a great show. But when 0.4% of those listeners know about that there's going to be a show, then we're like in deep water, because you're also living in this society where everything is driven by social media, and social media wants you to pay to reach those followers, and then you pay to reach those followers, and then you look who saw this post. It was, you know, Albert, 70 years old in Kentucky, and like, yeah, he will probably not go to that show.
Nothing against Albert.
No, we love
No.
you, Albert, but
No, but that's exactly it. So in like all of my everything that I do is like advertising based. So I understand that because I'm a real estate agent, right? That's what I do for money. And when I put an ad out for an open house, like I live in Kentucky, which is hilarious.
you know Albert?
I do. 70-year-old Albert. He's at all of my open houses. So you know, I put an ad out and
Everything.
I'm like, why is John in Canada responding to my open house? He's not going to show up. So I completely understand that. And I'm curious, right? Like, you were throwing numbers out there. Are those numbers that, you know, this percentage like of listeners in this town?
I know how many tickets we sell when we go to Helsinki, and I know how many people listens to us every month in that region. So
I think those figures were pretty accurate.
yes,
like you said.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like I
That's
think last time we were in Helsinki, I think we sold 450 tickets or something like that. You know,
That's cool that you know those numbers though, because I think, one of the biggest things that I notice with artists, right, or with most bands, right, I'll say like probably 99% of them, if you ask them those questions, they don't know the answer. How many listeners do you have in Detroit or whatever is your like key market? They don't know. And it's good that you're like really nailing honing in on those numbers because I feel like you're viewing it as a business
of
versus.
course, it is a business, but here's also the thing. It doesn't matter how much time I spend on those numbers because it won't give me anything. I mean, like if you're a broker and your numbers can actually tell you something. It could tell you about the value of things, but my numbers is just, it could be 100,000. It wouldn't matter because
But it
of
does tell
course
you.
it's
It
great.
it tells you
Yeah, but it's a
it's going to
great
tell you
number.
where your key market,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It tells you.
totally. But it brings money to the bank, obviously, by those listeners. But if I'm gonna go from like Cyhra, a band with 4 members from 3 different countries, and we need to bring a tour bus to Finland, it costs shit tons of money, and we see that, yeah, but we have this amount of fans here, so we should be able to spend this amount of money to go there playing, and then we sell 450 tickets and we lose like 3-4 thousand euros. I mean, that's what I mean. The numbers that I can't read the numbers because like really you don't really possess that power to like reach the audience.
Hmm. That's, it's interesting. There's got to be like I view it as there's those numbers tell a story. Right. And obviously I've only heard, a little bit of the numbers that you've just said. I would be interested in like sitting down with you and just looking at the overall, like all of the numbers and seeing how that translates because I'm a firm believer that the numbers will always tell a story. It's the same with a band, it's the same in real estate, it's the same in, any corporate world. There's always a story behind the numbers. It's just deciphering what that story is telling you.
Sorry for interrupting you, but I'm just saying like this, like that. Okay, you work in real estate. You put your houses up in that area where you want to sell a house, and people that want to move to that area go in on that site or they search like houses in Kentucky. People these days are not, I don't have a number for it, but I don't really go in to check like shows in Gothenburg. Like it would be that someone would tell me, do you know the Slipknot is coming to town? Like word of mouth or what, like you're not if a show happens, you get to hear it from someone, or like most people are not actively online. And as I told you before, people also don't have posters on their walls. I mean, like, if every one of those 30,000 people in Helsinki would be Cyhra fans, yeah, you have it. But diehard Cyhra fans, they would, follow us on social media. They would, interact with us and, like be really updated about the situation. But if we are on some playlist and the song is there for years, people are listening to that. So of these 30,000 people that are listening to us, maybe 10,000 are diehard fans. The rest is just like the ones that are listening to this playlist that they like, and we come up there. So the numbers are false positive in a way.
Yeah, and they don't
Sure.
necessarily even know.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to.
that makes perfect sense, right? But I think for you, there is a way to say like you're like, okay, if we have 30,000 listeners and a third at 10,000 are like diehards, it's already starting to tell you a story. There's a way to like really decipher that. And I don't know shit about streaming numbers. I know sometimes,
Me neither. I am absolutely no pro at this.
yeah. No, me neither by a long shot. Like you see some bands and you're like, how do they have like 50 million streams and they're playing to 10 people in this club? Like what's going on here? you
Yeah, but you
know?
also see a lot. You also see a lot of bands. You like sometimes you stumble over bands on Spotify and other streaming services that have like 1 million listeners a month. And then you check the statistic and you see that there's one song that has 15 million plays and the rest has nothing. And that is either because they bought the plays or, which I think is more accurate, is that they have one song on a very good position on a playlist somewhere.
Yeah, and that, that's the
Yeah, good example. My first solo album. I think it has streamed 1.5, 2 millions. And one song that is on a big playlist still has streamed 95% of the album streams.
Yeah.
That's just one song. It's like, oh, my album has streamed, and then when I listen, it's like, okay, this one is 1.5 million. This one is 20,000, 100,000. So it's, and that's, but I mean, I'm grateful. That's great.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with Cyhra. I mean, like our second album, which actually sold very good in physical form. But let's say that album has X amount of million streams. I think 85% of that album comes from 2 songs, and that was 2 of the singles. So,
So-
like,
so
I
it
would
makes-
like to go back. I would like to go back a little bit to back in the days when people actually listened to a whole album, because that was the weirdest thing when I first started to release digital music. I was still thinking A and B side, so still put a lot of great songs in the end of the album, even if it's a digital product, and you realize that I just threw this great song in the trash because no one is now going to hear it because they never come down to track 8.
Yeah, that's so, it's a really wild way to like think about that. Like I guess streaming is good for the aspect that you can essentially the beginning of the album gets a lot of plays, but the downside is that people don't really listen to full albums. Like, maybe, I'll say I'm the outlier. I feel like I'm the outlier because if I'm going to listen to a band, I pick an album. I don't pick a playlist that they're on, and I try to listen to the whole album because I want the full picture of the band. I also use streaming as like, I'm older like you guys, right? Grew up in the 80s and 90s when we did a lot of like tape trading and CD trading and shit. So I use it for that. Like, dude, check out this album. And I shoot a whole album over from a band. So whoever I send it to hopefully listens to the whole album and goes, hey, that's great. Or you know what? That's complete shit. Don't ever send me that again, whatever. But, the hope is that
First of all, I need to take that as a compliment because I'm born in 82. So I know all about the stuff that you just told, but I feel younger.
70s kid. But yeah, I totally, because I listen to albums still. I kind of want that, and I sit down in my studio, and then, because I don't really listen to music in the car. I don't have a background music. I'm quiet. Many people are surprised. What do you listen to? Car? Nothing. I'm driving the car. I'm enjoying. But when I'm listening, I'm sitting and I'm listening, like really getting that. Still, even though I haven't had a CD or vinyl player in a long time, but I treat streaming as if I would put on an album, and then, if possible, sometimes you have digital booklets. It's still the kind of the same experience, and I guess I was a little bit against this first when you presented this idea, because I'm an album guy, but now I actually like it a lot, like we discussed. So we're focusing on one song at a time, and then we'll see. Hopefully, there's gonna be a great album, or then there's gonna be 10 great songs, which I think is gonna be a great album then. But in a way, I don't think I've ever listened to playlists. Maybe just to check what's on there at the moment, but I don't really. I like to have because I still like to believe that the bands put those songs in a certain order for a reason, and I wanna experience that.
Yeah, like I think for most bands, they look at the album as a giant piece of art. It's not like a bunch of songs with one or two great singles, right? Most bands write the album as, this was our, gift to the world, if you will. And that entire thing is, I'm a big vinyl guy. I've got thousands of vinyl. I don't even know how many, but it's when I put on a record and I grab it, and if it's just an insert, I pull the insert out and I read lyric for lyric through the entire thing so I can experience it as it was intended to. I completely understand like the single thing, because you can really, this conversation is making me go, oh, if they're releasing singles, what is it doing? It, for lack of a better term, it's fluffing those numbers, because you
Yeah.
put that single on a playlist and then you can't decipher like, oh, this song went on this playlist and it got, 20 million streams right there. What does that mean? Well, it means we got a bunch of streams and we got some money, whatever that 55 cents is, or whatever that's worth. But, how does that translate to what a band really does and go out and play shows and sell t-shirts and that kind of stuff?
Totally. I can find one thing that is bad with this releasing single things from like a consumer perspective. Like for me, if a band is doing this and I like, let's say one of the bands that I am really into is like I Prevail, and if they are doing this and I hear one or two singles and then I don't get a notification, and then I'm just like, time passes and then I'm just missing that the album is actually out or all the songs are out, or you know, you're missing the whole thing. I have a really funny story about my wife a couple of years back. She is a big Him fan, or I think it was Him, or if it was the guy that we shouldn't speak about, the guy that is brutal to women. But anyway, one of these artists, anyway, he was gonna release an album at midnight, and we were sitting there waiting because she was so eager to listen to it. And then finally at midnight, she just presses play and we listen. And then 3-4 songs in, she said, like, there's something wrong. I'm like, this doesn't feel like the new album. And she goes back and she realizes that she's listening to the past album, and she also missed 2 of the other albums. So all of a sudden she had 4 albums to listen to.
Oh,
Because she
shit.
comes from the era where like she usually bought the albums when they came out, but at one point you stopped to buy the albums.
That's
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I'm sure I've probably done that too. Like, oh, I'm going to listen to this album. Like, hold on, what is this? And that's being old. So I was born in the 70s, and being like growing up now, I know what my dad felt like with like, as technology went. I'm like,
Oh my God. Don't get me started on that. I have an 11-year-old now, and I feel like my parents every fucking day. I mean, she's behaving like I behaved, but when I was like 15, 16, she's 11. It's like,
yeah.
Dad,
Yeah, like I'm glad my kids are 18 and 20 now. And I'm so glad they don't act like I did when I was a kid. Like they're like all kids. They push boundaries and whatnot, but realistically, like compared to me, they're fucking angels, dude. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm pissed you did that, but I'm super glad.
So sorry for making this. This is a joke, but it's almost like you're like, here's some crack, have some fun. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Growing up, that's what it was. That's what it was like for us. Like what do you do? Well, we're gonna smoke this fucking, trash weed from Mexico and maybe, do some crazy psychedelics
Albert.
that, yeah, from 70-year-old Albert in Kentucky.
Yeah, he was it was 40 then.
Yeah. He was our dealer, but
The weirdest thing with that is that I remember when I was like 8, 9 years old, and it was like a Saturday. You had breakfast, and you had no phones, whatever. And you said, I'm going to go out to meet my friends. Okay. We eat dinner at 5, and then you went away, and then he came home at 5 and like, did you have a good day? Yes. Where's the food? And no one asked, what did you do? Like, I don't know how many bad things I did as a kid. I mean, like, we started forest fires. We, like, had like this pipes with shooting peace on cars and like, yeah, peace, the green little thing, like, yeah. But did a lot of crazy things that I shouldn't mention. But the parents never asked you because like they trusted you. I mean, I don't even trust my kids walking over the street because I don't trust other people.
We got asked. We just never told them. You know, hey, what'd you guys do today? Well, we went to the lake and went swimming. Like, okay. And, you know, like that night, I remember one time, luckily, I was that guy that got in a lot of trouble. One time my dad is at work and it was me and my little brother at home and we were actually having a party, bunch of people at the house. About 11 o'clock at night, we're drunk. I was 14, I guess. What's that? Oh, it's the police. Shit. What's going on? I got arrested. Like, I'm like, shit. So they had to call my dad at work and he had to, you know, come and get me out of jail. But I'm like, shit, I'm 14 years old. That's what you know, like very different world for me, you know, because I did get in trouble. I got caught. I was a dumbass and I'm not that person now, thank God, you know, but my kids, I'm sure that my daughter probably does shit that we don't want her to do, but she has a really good relationship with my wife. So like
Yeah.
if she's in trouble, she'll talk to my wife. She won't tell me because I'm like, sweet, you're grounded, no car, no phone, you know. Uh, but you know, so I'm super, super grateful I don't have to deal with that. Sounds like you might have some fun as your daughter gets into the teenage years.
She's already in her teenage years, but she's a sweetheart. She's actually so driven. That's so cool to see as well. She decided herself that she was going to apply to like the hardest school in Sweden to get into, which is a ballet school. And she had never taken a ballet class in her whole life. And you know, hundreds of kids auditioned. There was like, I don't remember what it was, 15 spots or something, and she got in. So she's like, you know, she's in fourth grade and goes to school like 10 hours a day. It's like her path is like this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I
Crazy.
wish I'd have had a like focused path when I was younger because I was just like I'm probably a lot like you, like, I'm gonna try that, I want to do that. Maybe I'll go that way. I don't really know.
Both of us were actually like that. But so both
I'm Westfield.
yeah, but we were doing bad things as well, but we were also focused. Both me and Oige comes from a hockey background, so we were really focused in becoming professional hockey players. So this rock star thing that we're trying to do, that's just like a backup plan.
That was plan B.
Yes.
No, but it was my
Yeah.
plan A was.
You were gonna go play for the Detroit Red Wings, weren't you?
Maybe.
Oh, I can't read it. The Rangers. I'm sorry, man. You
The
know,
worst. It's the worst team in the league right now. I saw the funniest meme the other day. So it was 4 pictures in one picture, and it was like 4 different headaches. And it was like one headache was like a little bit red spot here, and another one that had like a little bit bigger than half the side, and then the whole head was red, and that says New York Rangers.
Yeah, but we were pretty serious, both of us. And then I don't know. At least I had my back been operated a few times, my shoulders. And then at some point, the music thing kind of happened. And but I still say to people that I'm a hockey player who plays a little bit guitar and works with music. But still, that's kind of who I still think that I am, because you know, watch my YouTube history, whatever. It's mostly hockey.
Yeah, exactly. No, I broke my hip, and when I couldn't play anymore, I actually sat down and I was like 19 years old. And I thought, what else can I do that is not like a 9 to 5 job? And I was like, rock star, that seems to be a fun thing to do.
It looks pretty easy. No.
I bet anyone can do that. Yeah. I mean, that's you know,
That's
it's
the weird. Oh, sorry.
that's the world. So I grew up in that world too. Like I grew up in Detroit. So of course, Detroit's hockey town. You know, every time we're not at school in the winter, we're down at the lake or we're at the ice rink and we were beating each other up playing hockey. I mean, that was just life growing up. It's funny that you guys have that and you Paul Mazurkowitz feels the same way. You know, Cannibal Corpse's drummer, he's a hockey player that plays music. Like literally, if he's not on the road playing music, he's playing hockey.
Yeah. No, but here's the thing. It must be really hard to like have the dream of becoming a hockey player in Detroit when you know that when you grow up, they're still just going to import Swedish players to the team.
Or Russian, like.
But you remember, like 10 years ago, you had like this line with 5 Swedes in it.
But it's so, it's just funny to watch that though. And I could tell you right now, I've got so much like Red Wings gear upstairs. My wife, actually, I've got this one Red Wings cup that I love, and my wife thought she took it to work, and someone at work had the same cup, and she brought that friend's cup home. And I was like, you got us another one? Yeah. I'm like, where the hell did you get that? She goes, do you mean it's not yours? I'm like, no, that's not mine. Like, look at it's fucked up here, and mine's not. She's like, oh shit.
Fantastic.
So when are we getting you guys over here in the States?
We've been working on this for a very long time now. And we even like a bit over like a year and a half ago, we actually started a campaign where our fans contributed to like the US visa because like they have raised the cost tremendously. And our fans chipped in a big chunk of the money that we needed. We didn't make it the whole way, but like I think we needed like $12,000, and I think the fans gave us like $7,000. So then it took us a while to collect the rest of the money, and then we started the whole process of getting them. Right now we're on the like 99.9% thing, but not going to talk politics, but things have become even worse, the last couple of months. So we don't know where we are, but we're just hoping to get this done. And as soon as we get those papers done, we have things planned, but we cannot, we cannot, go out with any. We've been postponing things for so long because we cannot go unless the visa is done.
Yep. Well, you can't legally go.
It's unfair in a way because like if you would like to come over to us and play, we would just say, okay, come in here, you can play here.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're Americans. We make everything hard. That's the reality. Like it could be really fucking easy if we just said, hey, all right, a couple $100, you're good. Like, let's do this. You got to jump through 12 hoops of flaming dog poo, and then still maybe.
Yeah, but the problem is also that like most countries in the world where you need a visa. I mean, like nowadays when UK is no longer in the EU, for example, right, you need a visa to go there. But you go to a site, you fill in your information, you file that, and you pay. And it's like, I don't know what it is, £100 or £200 or whatever per person, which is okay. I understand that someone needs to look at the papers and someone needs to get paid, but you could do it yourself. In the US, it's mandatory that you go to an attorney that fixes this. And I guess that attorneys, for some reason, has higher salaries than that guy in UK that just, it seems okay and puts a stamp on it. And then the attorneys have to pay the US government to look at the files again.
Like I said, we're Americans. We make everything too fucking hard.
Yeah, and you can also, there's another thing. I mean, like, this is not U.S. based, like, this is all over the world, but it's like, we'll take a year, but if you pay the double, it's done tomorrow. Like, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, how easy is it if it's, a couple $100? So you mean instead of a couple hundred, it's 400? Let's have this done. Like that to me, as long as you get, as long as you're not like out raping and pillaging and shit like that, like who fucking cares? Come on. You have a drug possession charge? Who cares? So do all of us.
That is the funniest thing. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but as someone that is not a Native American and flies in, you always need to answer a lot of questions. And you need to, it's like 24 questions or something like, are you intending to come to America to perform genocide? Yes or no? Like, are you coming to the US to perform, child trafficking? Yes or no? And then at the end, it says that just because you said yes to any of these questions does not mean that you cannot get into the United States. It's hilarious.
You want to like take a bunch of kids? We're totally cool with it. Let's just we don't give a shit. You paid your
Exactly.
money, so that
I need to roll back on something that we talked about before that I forgot to mention, and I was just gonna praise you a little bit there because like this thing that we talked about, like releasing singles and whatever. And I'm not gonna be long on this, but it's all usually very hard to get interviews with people like you if you don't have an album to promote. People only like the whole business is always 10 years behind. Like a magazine would not write an article about your single because it's not an album. I don't really get it because like if you have a song that is streaming 100 million streams, why wouldn't I as a magazine owner want people to read about that? I mean, like this is a big thing.
I think part of it is like, what's the goal, right? Like my goal, I just like bullshitting with people, right? If you have something to promote, whether it be a single or an album, I don't give a shit. Let's talk. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt you, right? It does exactly what I want it to do, provides more content that hopefully drives more people to both of us, so we can further this crazy thing that we call life, whatever it is. So I appreciate that. And I greatly appreciate your time. I'm having a lot of fun. I had kind of a rough morning, so this is like I'm like it's 4:45 p.m.
Oh yeah. So you have the whole day in front of you. That's fantastic.
No, behind me.
Yeah, 4:45.
4:45. Yeah, but like it's 10 p.m. here. So I mean, like our day is almost over.
Yeah. Now my day's usually done by like 6.
Oh, okay. So you are old.
I was totally not kidding. My wife gets so mad at me at 3 p.m. I'm like, hey, do you want to like go have dinner somewhere? She's like, are we going for the senior specials? I'm like, well, I'm not quite old enough for that, but yeah, like, I want happy hour at the buffet, whatever. Like, let's do it.
Bingo.
Yeah, there's bingo exactly.
Yeah.
I'm one of these. I cannot sleep. I mean, like my brain is so hyper, and I have so many things to do every day. So even if I stop working at like 9, 10, I need like a couple of hours. I usually fall asleep around 2 a.m. and then I go up at 6:30. So it's just I'm always constantly tired. I should go to bed at like 8, 9, but then I have this FOMO that there might be something funny happening. Like, I'm going to stay up just because I can.
So realistically, I try to be in bed between 8 and 9 because I know I'll be in bed. I'm not going to fall asleep until 11 or so. But same thing, I try to get up. So the last month I've been sleeping until 7 or so in the morning, but generally I'm a 4 or 5 in the morning guy where I get up and I have my like morning routine where it's like ride my bike, spend some time in the gym, and then start getting
You are Mark Wolf.
Yeah, no. I wish I had this money.
It's so funny. I follow him. It's so funny to see that he's always posting videos at 4 a.m. in the morning, and he's like, hey, it's always so great to be up early and blah blah blah. And it looks like he's still sleeping. I'm so energized right now. There's like 6 personal trainers around him, and
yeah, they've got the cattle prods. Like, you're not going back to sleep, dude. He's like, oh shit, what's going on? And then he's in bed at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Like, okay, my day's over. Yeah, but I started doing that because waking the kids up and getting them ready for school. Like, I needed to have all of my stuff out of the way, and then like I do my like workout and all that, and then I can start waking them up, and it's I can focus on them and getting them off to school, and it stuck with me. Like my daughter now she's pretty self-sufficient. Of course, my son's graduated, and I'm like, I literally just started a month ago. Like, I'm gonna sleep in. I went out to Las Vegas for a music festival, and their the 3 hour time difference, so they're 3 hours behind us. So the last band is starting at 12 or 1 in the morning out there.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
four, your head.
yeah, I'm like, oh my, can I get some more coffee, please? Like
Yeah.
mainline,
Or it's time
like,
to wake up
yeah. Yeah, I'm like, oh,
for
this
you.
is,
Like that's when you usually wake up.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
terrible.
I just returned from LA like 2 weeks ago, and I was there for 5 days, and it's a 9 hour time difference. I will never gonna go to LA for 5 days again, ever, because like it took me almost 5 days to like adjust, and then when I got home, like I've been jet lagged until like yesterday. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that's I don't like that at all. Like if you're going to go and do something, you really need the time to adjust and enjoy that adjustment. And realistically, like if you're only going for 1 or 2 days, you don't have to worry about adjusting. You just don't sleep a whole lot.
Yeah,
You get
exactly.
your 2 hours of sleep and you're like, I'll power through the rest. But man, any longer than that, you're like middle of the day, like, what the hell's going on? I don't know. I need my nap time. Like what? That's so what's the next single you guys have coming out?
So I don't care. Shall we mention that?
I think I don't remember the exact date, but
It's I think it's somewhere in April. It's a song called "Mark of My Sins," um, which is probably one of the greatest songs that we've done in a long time. I fucking love that song. I mean, like as you could hear now from Superman and Skin from Bones, we're trying to make it sound Cyhra, but we're trying to just like be a little bit more inspired about like the more modern productions and like tuning it down, make it a little bit heavier and all that. um so that this is also a good thing with those like releasing singles, because you could try things out. I mean, like if you realize that when it's time to release the album, there might be one of the songs that won't end up on the album because
Yeah.
you could see that it did not perform very well. You could also add other things. So of course, you always write music for yourself, but we got some complaints from fans that are like, "Oh, there's rap in this song," or "There's where's that melody?" or what is. But I mean, like, I don't want to be Iron Maiden releasing the same song for 10 years.
Well, as you shouldn't.
Nothing wrong with that, but it's about the guys that are actually performing. You want to try out new things.
it keeps it interesting, and yeah, like Jake said, no matter how should I put this? Well, I think we're mostly writing to. I can't write to someone else because I don't know what that someone else like. Oh, this guy. I just write. We write like when to ourselves when the hair goes up, and this like this is great. Then it's great if other people likes that. If there's people and there is people who don't like that, that's fine too. But we like that, so that's the most important thing. Because like if I would put out a song that I don't like, and then if people like that,
It's selling out. Like if you write something you don't like and you put it out there specifically to get a fan's positive reaction, that's exactly what selling out is. And that's
yeah, and I think you're also missing because it's just I can't really put it into words, but it's like how can you even do that? Because
yeah.
because we write songs. Let's say we have 10 songs, and usually it's like, this is shit. Let's just. I mean, even if it could be a hit, but if we think it's shit because it's our song, we need to play that live. So we want to write stuff that we like and we like to play, and it comes from this is because it's an art, in a way. So I mean, if I would wanna make money, there's a lot of easier ways to just do whatever job and make money. But this is okay. This is our profession, but it's also like getting something out. Like it's almost like I have to write this or get it. It's really an art form, and you can't write to someone else. You can only write to yourself, and then you hope that the fans will. Of course, like Jake said, we are seeing that, okay, how this song performs. Like, let's say if we have 5 new songs and one is like that, one is like that. Okay, that kind of song did really. Maybe let's put this out next. Let's see what happens. But it's everything we ever put out is obviously we stand behind it 100%.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
our art.
Sure.
I just realized that my chair has been down the whole time. So it's been looking like I'm really short.
I was like, man, Jake must be really short. Or,
Yeah,
Hugh is fucking giant. Like,
or I just made that to make you look even bigger than you
that's
are.
so fun. I like that though, right? Because like you're saying, I think there is, as an artist, there is an ethical obligation to yourself, right? To be true to yourself, whatever that is, right? If you want to write, if that is writing radio friendly hits that please the masses, then yeah, stick with that. And right, I also like that listening to your music, especially right, Skin from Bones, like holy shit, you're rapping in there. What's going on? But that's something that you guys felt needed to go out, whether the fans are raving about it or not, like it's being true to yourself. And that's
Totally, and it was just a joke from my side to begin with. Like I had this thing and I just made a rap. I sent it to Oiga and Oiga said, "Keep that. That's great."
Yeah, that's rap. I said, yeah, we've never done rap. We're gonna do it. I love it. Like it was just like, because I first thought that it's someone else that is doing. I was like, who's rapping on this song? This is great. And Jake was like, oh, that's just me. That's great. Like, yeah. And he was like, really? Are you sure? Yes.
yeah, I mean, especially in current times when people are there are so many styles that are mixing, right? Because I think we've been listening to the same metal for 40, 50 years. It's when it's thrash, it's thrash. When it's symphonic, it's symphonic. And there's not a lot of mix from other styles, until I've really noticed it the last 10 years in music where people are really, really like starting to bring people in. Like one of my favorite like metal bands that infuses rap is Body Count. I fucking love them, so I was honored enough to interview Ernie C from Body Count the other day, and like listening to him and like where they started. I'm like, did you ever think you'd be here? He's like, fuck no, 30 years later, no clue. We did it because we wanted to do it. And that's that ethical obligation to yourself. And I have so much respect for an artist that is going to put themselves out there and do something completely different from what they've done. Again, whether it goes over well or not, like props to you, because people are so afraid to challenge.
There's one time where I could think that it's the wrong thing to do, and that is that let's say that Mötley Crüe, for example, would have released Tommy Lee's solo albums as a Mötley Crüe album. Then it's to take it. I mean, like the Tommy Lee thing is one thing; that's his thing, but
Sure.
it's not Mötley Crüe. But there's some bands out there that is doing this like 360 spin, um, and releases something that okay, here's the fan base. The fan base is buying the new thing. And then it's something completely different than like you always need to have like some kind of silver lining. Like, yeah, I can hear that this is your band and they're trying some different paths, but it cannot be, you cannot be like a trash metal band and then all of a sudden it's Eminem. I mean, like that's taking.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, like to me, Deftones is I love Deftones, and I think they are one of those bands that you listen to any era of the band and that's Deftones, but every album is so different from every other album, and how often do you have that?
No,
right?
no,
Like
no.
it's not common.
That to me is being a professional musician and knowing what you're doing, because like that's a thought out process by them to do that. You just need to always keep the core in your music, because at some point people fell in love with your band because of something. So
Absolutely right. Man, what a fun fucking conversation.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this. I
would have loved if Albert could have joined, but
I called him and he was like, I threw
sleeping.
my hip out this morning. I can't make it. Like, all right, I'm sorry, dude. So I really, when you guys come, I've gotta like find when you guys are here in the States, because if I'm gonna come see you and we're gonna go have lunch, that's an
Total.
absolute.
And if possible, play some old school street hockey.
Absolutely.
I'm down.
I was supposed to
Yes.
get, yeah. I was going to say that I was going to send you an email, but I did not have your email address yet. But I'm going to have that soon, and then you could, then I will get in contact with you. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be a lot of fun. I know it's late for you guys, so I don't want to keep you.
Say hi to I Prevail if you meet them.
Will do.
They must live close. I mean, you must know them because you're from Detroit. I mean, like, it's not a.
I know Eminem.
You do?
Not really. No, not really. Literally every time I meet someone and I'm like, I'm from Detroit, they're like, do you know Eminem? I'm like, oh yeah, didn't you know? We're best fucking friends because we're from Detroit. Like,
Yeah, I love that. I love him. I think he's a fantastic rapper. He's the impossible rapper, in my opinion.
dude, it's so funny because he is the white guy, the white rapper, and so
That does
many.
it better than anyone else. It's crazy.
He just absolutely crushes it. Do you guys take care of your own social media?
Sometimes, but we have someone doing it for us most of the time.
Okay.
Because otherwise it would be like one post a year.
I
Yeah.
have a younger girl who usually, okay, you do this, you do that, sends notes, and then sometimes she gets angry when we haven't done what she asked. But we're really appreciate.
Yeah, she's doing a fantastic job.
Fantastic work, because we are 70s and 80s kids, so it's kind of like it's not natural.
Yeah. Like, what the hell is this Facebook thing? I don't understand it, Like, Albert, stop.
That was actually one thing that I just mentioned that to my daughter today, actually. We had a conversation and I mentioned something like, yeah, but you could do that on Facebook. And she's like, oh, that's for old people.
Do you know what the average age of a Facebook user is?
70.
No, it's like but it's like 58. So
I mean, like, Facebook is the new MySpace.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think Instagram is, I think they're like late 30s, early 40s is the average age there now.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's the new school,
One
Instagram.
thing I don't understand, though, is the Snapchat thing. I cannot understand it.
Or TikTok.
TikTok, I understand, but I don't like it. No. But here's the thing. I'm not as old as you guys, so I understand why the kids like it.
Oh shit. That's the issue, is like TikTok. I've got a friend who's a fantastic tattoo artist.
Okay, come on.
That no.
You start the lie, so now you complete the lie. You said, I have a friend. So what's his name? Where does he live? What's his phone number? How old is he?
His name's Albert. He's 70 years old. So my buddy Shane is a great tattoo artist, probably one of the best artists I've ever seen. And every time I talk to him,
like him, no one. There's no other tattoo artist is better than him. No, never seen anyone.
I mean, there might be, but he's the best one that's worked on me, I'll say.
The Donald thing.
It sounds like a Donald thing to say.
So he goes, every time I talk to him, he's like, get on TikTok. I'm like, why, dude? One, I don't understand the fucking thing. He's like, you just post videos. I don't get it. Like, I could post videos all day long, but I don't fucking get it. Like, how do you get shit to take off? He's like, I don't know. I just post dumb shit. I'm like, I don't. It just doesn't click for me. Call me fucking boomer or whatever. Like it's
No, but I am just like you. I'm just like you. I've just recently started to put on like some, because I have ventured into acting a lot lately, and I'm starting to do like some crazy TikTok stuff, like stupid stories in Swedish and English with an acting friend of mine, and it's so weird how the algorithms work, or let's say doesn't work, because it can, like I might have 150 followers on TikTok because I don't use it, but I just recently started to do it. And some videos can get 2,000 views in like 10 minutes.
yeah.
And then it stops because
Yep.
then TikTok wants you to do something else, pay them or do it
If
like,
you pay, it'll help promote this video.
I don't fucking get it.
No, me neither. Well, I understand that part of it because what do they want you to do? They want to attract you to their platform, and then they want you to spend money to promote your thing so you can gain more followers than these people over here or whatever. But it's I look at it like all social media. One, I don't want to pay money on social media to like promote what I'm going to promote what I'm doing because I look at it much like, excuse me, bands in
No,
the like 70s and 80s, right? Yes, they did some advertising in magazines strategically, Metal Edge or Kerrang or whatever, but essentially their reach was like it was grassroots. It was the person to person saying, "Hey, you got to go check this out. I want you to be a part of this too." And that to me, for any artist or entertainer or whatever, that is the most solid foundation for a fan base that you will ever have, because they like you for you and not for this 10-second clip that you put up that was funny as hell, you
no,
know?
exactly. But it's all, we started this conversation with talking about things like this, but I mean, 1986, if you were a subscriber of Kerrang, you got 80 pages of news from the metal world. And you had that once a month and you read every page and you wanted to know more about it. Like social media these days is you're still subscribing to Kerrang, but not everyone is getting the same pages. Some is getting 20 pages, some is getting 2,000 pages, but none of the pages are the same, which is just like, it's impossible. I would love to spend, if I would have believe that my album would sell, let's say 100 copies, I could spend $1, let's say, or like 10 cents per person that I want to sell this thing to, as long as I know that these 100 peoples are going to be reached. But as we said before, like this guy in, Ontario, Canada is getting it and I'm not releasing it in Canada. Why
Yeah.
did my 10 cents go to that guy? Doesn't make sense at all.
No, it doesn't. Like it's even try I just want to advertise in this area right here because that's where it's going to be. But you still have all of that outside stuff. Like, why can we just not say this is the area? Or better, maybe we as old people just don't understand what that really means when we're advertising to this area. Is that the area you were in when you started your account? Is that the area that you are passing through? Is that the area that your phone is attached to? Whatever. Like there's so many questions with that stuff that we don't know the answers to. And even asking, they're like, no, this is how it works. And so you try to do exactly like they tell you, and it's like, I still have these fucking people everywhere else that are contacting me, which is cool because I want them paying attention, but they're not buying tickets to my show. I get
Okay, let me put one thing that is extremely clear with this, and that is, like us, we're from Europe, and like we're a Swedish band, but like we're only two, three, two fifths of Swedes. But it takes a while for us to figure out a way to come to Mexico. So when we finally have arranged to come and play in Mexico. We do the show. It takes a year of planning, need to sell the tickets, need to, blah, 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 blah. On the airport, on our way back home, we get messages on our social media. When are you coming to Mexico? Yeah, yesterday. But I didn't come yesterday because I didn't know. I was like, okay, can't we at least have a world where I understand that these social media companies are driven by revenue? I understand that. But if I, as a human being, decide to follow your page, give me then the update on your page.
Yeah.
Thank you. But instead, I'm getting notifications and being notified by everything else. Just because I went into the hardware store the other day on Google to buy planks, I now get only that in my feed.
Yep. I saw an ad for a show this morning, actually, that
That was last
happened
week.
March 9th. I
Yeah.
was like, what good does that do me? Like,
And that tells you another thing, that the person that made that ad did not fill it in correctly. So it's still ticking money from their account to continue to post it.
yeah. Yeah, what a terrible platform. Maybe we just need to make our own platform.
Yeah. Alex, our drummer, actually just released his own platform. He just released a competitor to like the other streaming services, and it's called Rock, ROKK. You should check that out. So what that does is that it gives back a percentage to the art. First of all, it gives more back to the artist from the money that is generated, but it also has this feature that you could go in. I don't know if they implemented it yet, but it's going to come or it's already there, that you could choose one band that is your favorite band, and they're then going to get a bigger chunk of the money that you're paying.
That's cool.
Because how it works now in the streaming services is that most of the money that is being paid by consumers is actually going to the top 100 artists. They're getting like 90% of all the money that people are paying. So if someone that listens to metal uses, let's say, Spotify, most of the money from that, like 10 euros or 20 euros or whatever it costs a month, goes towards to pay off the artist that has 20 million streams a day.
And what's cool also about rock is that kind of what you just said, that like if there's a person who listens only Cyhra for a month, then we will get that person's. So it's actually fair. It's not a pyramid scheme like the others, like what Jake just said. So that is something that that I hope that the Rock app will take off, so to say, because it's actually fair to artists. So if there's a person who listens only like ZZ Top, whatever, then that person's monthly fee will go to. It's divided by the bands he or she listens to, and not just to go to a pool and then.
No,
That's how it should be, right?
Yeah.
Like in my mind, that's exactly how it should be. Like, and I think back to, radio days like BMI, ASCAP. It was, if your song played on any radio station, you got 12 cents, right? So of course, if you were number one across the states, man, your fucking check this quarter is going to be fat. Right. But it didn't go into a pool and separated because, oh, well, this was the number one artist. We're going to take, Johnny's money because he only got played 500 times and give it to this person. Like, that makes no sense to me.
We have that problem. We had that problem here. Probably not as much these days, because like now most of like cafes and hairdressers or whatever that are playing music uses like streaming services instead of playing the radio, or CDs or whatever. But in Europe, you need to have like a permit to play music publicly, even if it's at a hairdresser's place, or if it's and you pay maybe $100 a month to be able to play music. But imagine how many small companies that paid this amount of money that comes into like Swedish or European ASCAP, and no one knew where what anyone listened to.
Right.
Yeah. So if you had 500 hairdresser that just played Cannibal Corpse, do you think that Cannibal Corpse would get single dime of that money?
No.
No. They would look at a chart because like people are lazy. They was like, okay, we have $1 million here or $10 million that they paid this year. Okay. Oh, I need to go to lunch soon. Okay. The most 100 played songs on radio. Okay. They get it. So, and that's so unfair.
100%. Because the people who
This
aren't
is free money. This is free money for musicians. What you should use that money for is to take them from the other side, build new artists. I mean, like countries like the UK, they're the best in supporting musicians when they become successful because then they will be knighted, but on their way up they have nothing. I mean, a musician in the UK is worth nothing unless you become Elton John.
well,
Then
isn't it it's the same everywhere though.
no,
It's
in Sweden has always been a really good, we have had, here, the reason why we are the third biggest exporter of music, now we have a government that has just taken everything away that has always been there. But we have had free musical schools, substituted rehearsal rooms with all the gear, and like you pay $5 a month, and like you can play anything, and you could learn to play the trumpet or the drums or guitars or whatever, like for free.
shit.
Yeah. So Sweden has always been really, really supportive when it comes to like, creating things. But then you have the organizations like ASCAP that back in the days just like, oh, the ones that already have a lot, they can get more.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
I don't either. I absolutely don't. I think
Nowadays it's better, obviously, because all those companies that are playing music in public, they are using a Spotify account or Tidal or YouTube or whatever, but every song is then registered and the money goes to where it's supposed to go. But still, the majority of the money, because like it's a pyramid scheme in the long run. I mean, like
oh,
always to keep the circulation of money. If everyone would stop paying their subscription for any of those things, it would just fall as a card house tomorrow.
no, it wouldn't. No, because they still make so much money off the advertising.
But who would advertise if they would have no one listening to their service? That's what I mean.
But you're saying no one listening. But if people just stop paying for it, they're still going to use the service.
I obviously meant both. I know that there's these advertisement things for the free accounts, which I think is stupid in a way. Because
Yeah,
here's the thing that many people don't understand. But if I would ask any record label to send me a detailed report on like all the income, it's like I don't know how many lines it is in an Excel document, but it's like 10,000 lines or 9,999, whatever. So you would get a lot of these Excel documents. And that would break down every stream, but there's different money for each stream. So if your song has been played on a free account, you're getting like 0.0000000.1 cent. And if it's been played by an account in Sweden, it will get this. But if it comes from a low income country, it will give this. So
that's wild.
I mean,
So I didn't know that. I didn't know that it got that detailed. I mean, I assumed so, but
not many artists are asking for this, but that's the truth. There's a lot of and I don't know all of this, but I've seen those figures, and there's a lot of different categories. If the song has been sponsored, you get less money or more money, or like it's a whole world.
that's so crazy. That is so crazy. I guess
I
this is
just tell everyone. I just tell everyone. Just put our songs on repeat when you sleep. It's really good to fall asleep to. And then we'll come play Detroit.
yeah. Like, how'd you guys have 20 million streams in Detroit over 3 nights?
We did
I
this
don't know.
great interview with Albert.
Albert, and they started to take this stuff seriously. So
Shit. Oh, that cracks me up. Okay.
Yeah, that cracks Albert's up too.
Yes. Yeah, his hip and all. He hit his buffet at 3:30
Yeah, I was
this
thinking about the
afternoon.
other crack. I was thinking about the other crack, but yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe he's too old for that now.
He's too old. Nah, I mean, maybe he needs it to wake up in the morning. I don't know.
You went to school together, right?
Yeah, because I'm that old. I'm 70. Back in my day.
Back in my days, I can't remember anything, but that was fun, I think.
Shit. So, it's funny you bring that up because my niece called me this morning on my way out and she's like, "Hey, will you tell me stories about your dad and, his parents and his siblings?" And I'm like, "Holy shit. Like right now, I'm like thinking about work and you want me to think about like all this stuff." And she's like, "Yeah, I have to write this report or I'm not going to graduate." I'm like, "Oh shit." So
I don't even remember what I had for breakfast.
dude, I'm telling you. I'm like, I haven't even had coffee yet. I don't, hold on, I gotta think. But 30-minute conversation, she got some stories, but I'm like, man, it's crazy to think about some of those things that I, was telling her about happened 40 fucking years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I am that old. Okay, guys.
I don't remember anything, so that's that's been my safety net through my whole life. Like anything that's been bad, I forgot about.
No.
I cannot continue living if I'm just constantly thinking about the past.
Well, I try not to constantly think about it, but it creeps in every day, all day. My wife's like, "How do you remember all that shit?" Like, I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "You can't remember this, but you can remember what member was in this band and this year played on this album." I'm like,
God, Jesper is not here now, but Jesper is exactly like that. Jesper Strömblad. I mean, like, he has like and this he says himself, the worst short time memory in the world. But he could mention which bands were on posters when he played with In Flames in Illinois, the 4th of May, 97. I remember those. Like, it's crazy.
"Yeah, yeah." That's actually mine too. Is live shows. My wife's like, "Hey, where'd we see that band?" "Oh, we saw that band this year. This was the lineup. This band opened, this band closed. This was the set list." And she's like, "How the fuck do you know that?" I'm like, "How do you not know that?"
Before we go, I need to tell you about a friend of mine, a bass player in my first band, Dreamland. When he gets drunk, he's becoming like, like you think that he stands up sleeping. And there was one time I was working with the band Europe at Sweden Rock Festival. So I was doing like pyros and they were asking me before, like, do you have the set list? And I sent it over to Ricky, my friend, but the other guy that was drunk, he didn't see it. So they were passing Europe and Ricky, he said, "Come on, let's go home." "No, I want to see Europe. And okay, so he was standing there, like my friend believed that my other friend was like sleeping. He was passed out, but he was standing up. And then in the morning, so I had sent the set list to my first friend. So then in the morning, he wakes up and like, "Yeah, Europe was great yesterday. They played this song, this song, this song, this song. And when they played that song, that was great." And my friend picks up his phone like, "Everything is correct." But like, I didn't even think that you were alive yesterday.
Dude, those are the absolute best. Like my that's obviously my life is music, so going to
I don't even remember when the new song starts on stage. I don't remember which song we played just before. That's me. It's like, have you seen that Stephen King film, The Langoliers?
I have not.
Fantastic movie. It's about time eaters that eats they fly back in time, and then there's time eaters that eats the past. I have those Langoliers in my head, I think.
Yeah, 'cause
That's pretty dope.
sometimes you've announced, okay, the next song will be this and that, and they're like, Jake, we just played that.
Yes.
Really? Really?
It reminds me of
Okay, sorry. The next song is.
It reminds me of another, like, I don't know if the saying is the same in English, but rat on the pizza, like this urban legend that Rolling Stones had been out for a year and they were, doing a lot of drugs and drinking a lot. And someone told them, like, you've been playing the same set list for a year now. We need to switch it around. It was Aerosmith. Yeah. So they just did like this. So they started with a song that they usually played last. They go out on stage, they play, and say, thank you, good night, and walks away.
It was Steven Tyler who, after the first and went away, and I was like, what? Well, we just played the last song.
That's the best. I love that. I feel like, Metallica does those like 2 nights. There's no repeat nights. And generally, well, when I've seen them, the second night they do the Black Album in reverse. I can only imagine what that was like going out there and playing that last song on the album. And like, all right, thank you, see ya. What the fuck is going on? Like,
Hilarious.
okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hit you guys up on Instagram. I'm gonna send you.
Do that. You could always send it to me personally.
Okay.
I manage my own page, so that's.
I will do that. I'll make sure you got my email address and all that good shit. So when you guys are over here, we will connect, have lunch, see a great show, and well, I'll see a great show. You guys will play a great show, and we'll maybe you guys will do.
Good band in town. This is like the day before we could go to. So we at least get one good show.
Or if you guys are playing here, I've got a chef buddy. I'll make him. We'll go to one of the local bars and see a local show, and then I'll make him like make dinner for all of us. It'll be fun.
That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic.
Hell yeah!
Looking forward, and then we go to Eminem's place.
Yeah, we'll go hang out with Eminem. You hear that, Marshall? We're coming for you. All right. Okay, guys. Thank you so much.
So nice to talk to you.
I've had so much fun. This has been a fucking blast.
It was fantastic.
Hell yeah. Well, go have yourselves a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Say hi to everyone.
Will do.
Bye.
Bye.